Good evening and welcome to Molinder Field at Greenfield Central High School for another edition of High School Baseball on 9-Star TV and the ISC Sports Network. Along with Jim Leisure and the rest of the fantastic crew led by our technical director, John Painter, I am John Herrick. It is great to have you with us on another Tuesday night for baseball. The Mount Vernon Marauders come into tonight's game a record of 15-2. They are 10-0 in the Hoosier Heritage Conference, and they're taking on a Greenfield Central squad that is 12-5-1 with a 7-3 conference record. Greenfield Central is the home team, so the man on the mound for them is Connor Sims taking the warm-up pitches. And Jim, let's first get your overall thoughts. Let's start with Mount Vernon. What an impressive season they are having this year. Remember, this was a team that was 12-15 last year, finished 5th in the conference, and now they're in first place. I guess first let's go ahead and talk about what Connor Sims brings to the table for Greenfield.
Well, when you see the numbers there, 3.17 ERA, pretty decent for a senior pitcher, and then the 41 strikeouts against 11 walks is, again, slightly above average. So, again, he's got to be sharp today. This is a very talented Mount Vernon baseball team. They hit the baseball well. They run the bases really well, very aggressive. They're going to put runners in motion a lot, and a lot of that's going to go back on the catcher as well to kind of cut that down. That would be BRODIE MAYBERRY for Greenfield Central.
And when you look at Greenfield, too, that this is a team that's been on a little bit of a roll lately after starting off a little bit slow, but they're on a winning streak right now, and they're on their home field. But even though they face a tough opponent, it's never easy to win here.
No, I mean, this is, again, Greenfield not having a bad year at all, 12-5-1, and, they're obviously well above 500 and can play good baseball as well, 7-3. And this is always a difficult baseball conference has been for years. Kyle Gibson, former Greenfield Central Cougar, pitching in the big leagues. Prior to him, Drew Jameson, I think a young man also pitching in the big leagues from the Hoosier Heritage Conference. A kid named Andrew Clark from New Palestine years ago, got as high as AA. So good baseball in this conference.
4 straight wins in a row for Greenfield Central. They're coming off of a win over Westfield last night as the first pitch into Gavin Johnston misses down and inside 1-0. And I think maybe Sims might have slipped off the rubber a little bit and trying to regain his footing there before the catcher, BRODIE MAYBERRY, gives him the ball back. The defense for Greenfield Central, Grant Shepard is your left fielder. Kirk Connect is in center. Jaden Marcus is the right fielder. Landon Brooks at third base. A.J. Oden at short. Parker Rhodes at second. Andrew Zellers is at first base. And BRODIE MAYBERRY is the catcher taking the pitches from Connor Sims as Johnston with a big rip and a miss there, 1-1. The Mount Vernon starting lineup, Gavin Johnston leads off. Then it's Nick HEITMAN, junior left fielder. Then it's DJ SCHEUMANN, junior designated hitter. Connor Scheidt bats cleanup, senior first baseman. Russell Weaver, senior third baseman, bats after him, 5th in the order. Joseph Wilson is 6th, the senior right fielder. Nathan CRISS, junior center fielder, is 7th. Cam Sullivan, who is the pitcher for Mount Vernon, is 8th. He is a junior. And Grant Payson, junior catcher, bats 9th in the order for Mount Vernon. Hayden Ford will be playing second base but is not in the lineup for batting purposes. And the count is now 2-2 to Gavin Johnston, who is hitting .311 on the season. And he also has 14 hits, 12 runs batted in, and pops this one high and out of play. And one thing you don't want to do if you are Greenfield Central is let Gavin Johnston get on base, because he has stolen 10 bases this year.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Coach Brad King likes to put his kids in motion, likes to put pressure on the defense, the pitcher, the catcher, and really even the middle infielders as well. Again, so far, though, Sims doing a nice job of getting ahead in the count. Now he's worked it back to even 2-2, but you got to like the fact that he's just going after this kid.
Sims again. Got him looking. Good start for Connor Sims. Strikeout number 42 for him on the season. Always nice to have that strikeout to walk ratio at nearly 4-1.
And you see the replay there, great camera angle by our crew there. A little curveball there. Had not seen a breaking pitch in that sequence, that at bat, and picked a nice time to break it out. Now, again, I'm sure that Johnson's going to go back to his mates there on the bench and say, all right, watch out for the old Uncle Charlie there, because he's got a nice one.
Only, 75 degrees right now. Very little cloud is in the sky. It's been a perfect day weather-wise. Count is 0-1 to Nick HEITMAN, who's batting an impressive .415, but he's behind 0-2. He has 17 hits. He is second on the team in runs batted in, behind Connor Scheidt, who is fourth in the order. The 0-2. Low and inside. Also for Mount Vernon, looking at how they come in to this game. They have not lost since April 15th. That was a 13-12 affair against Harrison. Of course, they came back and beat Harrison later that day in what was a doubleheader, 15-5, as that one is lined down the line by HEITMAN. Then they had a tight ball game against Hamilton Southeastern, beat them 5-4 in 9 innings. But they have been on quite the roll right now, winning 9 straight. So these are two very hot baseball teams coming into tonight.
Yeah, the home plate umpire telling Coach VAIL of Greenfield that, hey, I'm already out of baseballs here. So, this is a place, there's basically what amounts to either a bean field or cornfield from year to year right across the street. So that pitch misses inside. But then, there's cars and trees and different things where foul balls can kind of get lost. You really got to stay on top of as you watch that pitch almost hit. HEITMAN does a nice job of staying in. I think he was waiting on it to break. Never broke.
Sims needs a moment. Collectively as a baseball team, Mount Vernon hitting .324, Greenfield Central .317. Again, going opposite way but foul.
We got 2 game balls tossed back in, maybe 3 here. We'll see. Looks like Mayberry's going to kind of inspect the one he feels is the best and throws it over to Sims.
And also, too, they just sent more guys out onto the, out into the parking lot, and I think they're having more than one bench player on foul ball duty right now.
I was an AD for a year, and I know how what a box of baseballs cost, but curveball just fouled off again. But you normally start a game with 3 or 4, but seriously, you probably ought to have about 6 on hand just for this reason. So again, if you're kind of keeping track, when Sims gets 2 strikes on the hitter and needs that strikeout pitch, he comes with the curveball. Again, nice curveball, just kind of fouled off by HEITMAN.
This one is fair this time as he goes opposite way. Got under the legs of Marcus. To the wall it goes. Marcus picks it up. That's a double for Nick HEITMAN.
Yeah, HEITMAN was going the other way the entire at-bat there, fouled a bunch of pitches off to that right field side. Finally got one a little bit more over the plate, as you see on the replay here. That one got a little bit more. And then Marcus honestly takes a chance. He's going to go over there. He's going to try to snag that ball and hold him to a single. It's kind of one of those do-or-die deals. If you come up with it, great. You probably hold him to a single. If you don't, he goes to second. Could have gone to third, but Marcus does a nice job of getting the ball back in.
Now it's DJ Scheinman, who's hitting .289 on the year. 9 runs scored, 13 hits, 7 driven in. He does have 2 doubles. And Mount Vernon has 8 triples collectively as an offense. He has 1 of them and wants to have a conversation with the umpire after that pitch, who called it a strike, 0-1.
Well, what he's saying is, I got my toe on the white line, so basically if there's an inside pitch where I have to displace, it's probably off the plate. Home plate umpire said, well, probably doesn't matter to me. Look good. Pitch way outside here. I don't know if that was maybe they were expecting the runner to go there, and that was a kind of a quasi pitch out.
Head coaches for both teams for Mount Vernon, it's Brad King. He's assisted by Wayne Graham and Tony Gregory. For Greenfield Central, it is Mark Vail, and his assistant is Josh Welch. Andy Ortwine coaches the JV team, as that one is cut on and missed, and it is 1-2 to Scheinman, the junior.
So Mr. Scheinman here gets to see the curveball. Now, he threw it in a different spot. That one was thrown over the heart of the plate and broke to the back foot, which a lot of pitchers opposite, if you're a righty, you're throwing to a lefty, you like that back foot curveball, and that's exactly what he did. It looks really good. Pitch looks really big and fat, and then it breaks on you.
1-2, puts it in play, and that one goes off the glove of Parker Rhodes, picks it up, throws to first, and does not get him. I think they might end up ruling that an E4, because I think if he fields that cleanly, he gets Scheinman at first. Nonetheless, HEITMAN goes to third, so runners on the corners. Oh, they called him out.
Yeah,
okay.
I was going to say.
That was very close. I thought
he looked safe to me, but the umpire.
Wow, okay.
The umpire did the old kind of very emphatic where he didn't just call him out, punched him out, almost spun around, fell down. So I thought that was an out. So nice job by Sims of covering. That's what you got to do. Here's a great shot of it. he was safe from me to you.
Yeah.
But no replay here at this level, so 4-3.
All right.
I'm sorry, 4-1.
4-1, yep. Good. Yeah, that's, I mean, and you make a great point about Sims, because sometimes pitchers are not always quick to get over there or think they might not have a play and just let the play happen. But Sims never gave up on it, and it's a good thing he didn't. So 2 outs, and HEITMAN is on second. Goes from second to third, rather, and Connor Scheid is up. And Scheid tried to check his swing. Umpire says he went around, though. Scheid hitting .320 on the season. 15 runs scored, 16 hits. Leads the team in runs batted in with 21.
Connor Scheid, a pretty big kid here, so if he gets a hold of one, could go out of here.
Almost the same thing as last pitch, 0-2.
Yeah, well, Sims is saying, look, if you're going to hit one out, you're going to hit a curveball out, because that's all I'm giving you. You know, and again, these kids, they all play travel ball in the summer against each other, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, they probably know each other's weaknesses and that kind of stuff.
Very experienced Mount Vernon team. 10 juniors and 7 seniors on the roster. 0-2. Well outside. Greenfield fans didn't like it. Kind of heard a bit of a collective gasp there from the dugout. One more look at it.
Well, you see Mayberry again. He's setting up, honestly, in the right-hander's batter's box, and then that's exactly where he threw it. And, you know, the umpire pre-pitch is already saying, all right, if he throws it to the glove, that's off the plate. They were just trying to get him to fish, and he didn't do it.
That one's heading towards the gap, and it gets down. So that is the 22nd RBI of the season for Scheid, and he is in second base with a stand-up double. And it's 1-0 Marauders.
Well, does a real good job. And, you know, for a big kid, just takes that pitch where it is. It's on the outer half, does not try to pull it. Just drives it into the power alley there in left center. And honestly, the big fella runs pretty good. He got around first base, and I thought he had designs just for a second. He was looking over at Coach King like, what do you think? And Coach King said, I think you ought to stay where you're at.
Now it is Russell Weaver. He is the team leader in hits with 20. And 17 runs driven in, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and 1 home run. Also Scheid, by the way, the leader in the team in home runs with 5 of them. And you can see why he can hit for power as Weaver falls behind 0-1.
Yeah, swings and misses at another good curveball. So Sims has clearly established that pitch. You know, he's doing a good job with his fastball as well. Good location, hitting both sides of the plate. So honestly, he hasn't pitched poorly. He just had a couple things that kind of, you know, did not go his way. You know, that you have battles out there all the time. Connor Scheid just happened to win the last one.
Went around 0-2. Yeah, you can definitely tell with Sims's curveball, he's making those Mount Vernon hitters think a little bit.
Got to pick up the spin, you know, as soon as possible. You always think fastball, adjust, change, and you know, a curveball is a change of pace. So you're thinking fastball, but if you see the rotation, don't do that.
Throw to first and see if he can get down there. Yep, strikeout. So Connor Sims with 2 strikeouts in the inning, but a run, 2 hits, no errors with a runner left on. It is 1-0 Mount Vernon as we head to the bottom of the first inning. We'll give you the starting lineup for the Greenfield Central Cougars, who are coming up to bat right now. It is Grant Shepard to lead off, senior left fielder. Then Landon Brooks, junior third baseman. Andrew Zellers bats third, senior first baseman. Fourth is Connor Sims, the pitcher, batting as a senior. A.J. Oden is fifth, senior shortstop. Sixth is Brody Mayberry, the senior catcher. Parker Rhodes is seventh. He's a sophomore second baseman. Eighth is Kirk Connect, a junior center fielder. And Jaden Marcus, senior right fielder, bats ninth in the order. And the head coach for Greenfield Central is Mark VAIL. There is the starting pitcher for Mount Vernon, Cameron Sullivan, as a junior. And, Jim, he has simply been sensational. Those numbers on your screen, awfully impressive.
Very, very impressive. And, again, I'm just kind of watching him warm up here. He's got good movement on the fastball. The ball does not come in straight, has a little bit of a tail on it at the very end, which what that does for hitters, again, it looks like it's all over the heart of the plate, so I go ahead and commit to a swing. Then it breaks in on my hands, and I end up hitting it just above my grip on that very skinny part of the bat. Normally just pop up to the infield or hit a little dribbler somewhere. So, you know, when scouts come and they look at pitchers, everyone's got a radar gun and everyone can count to 90, and they know if a kid's throwing 90 plus or whatever. The question they ask umpires and catchers, does his ball move? Does his pitch have movement? And I'll tell you, his does.
And our first look at Grant Shepard this evening.
The left fielder, number 27, Grant Shepard.
Again, Greenfield Central in similar way to Mount Vernon. A lot of upperclassmen. 11 seniors on their varsity roster. Shepard, one of them, fouls it away.
Yeah, I noticed that coming into the thing. I always prepare my defensive cards, and you know, again, Greenfield's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seniors in the starting lineup. Mount Vernon has 4, and then 5 juniors, so pretty good mix. I believe only one sophomore in the starting lineup would be the second baseman for Greenfield Central, number 24, Parker Rhodes, is a sophomore. He will not hit today unless inserted later, but right now he's being DH'd for.
And that one sent high in the air to left. Out of play, so let's give you the Mount Vernon defense. Nick Heitman in left, Nathan CRISS is in center, Joseph Wilson in right. Russell Weaver is on third base, Gavin Johnston is at short, Hayden Ford is at second, Connor Scheidt is on first, Grant Payson is the catcher, and Cam Sullivan is the pitcher, as that one is chopped foul. Always good for your Russell Weaver to act like, you know, you're going to have a play on it at third, wait for the umpire to rule it foul, and he did.
Yeah, no situations, again, very important that the umpire yells loudly to say foul ball. If it's a fair ball, he won't say anything. You know, we're not going to yell fair ball because that could be confusing. He'll simply point. So if you don't hear anything, keep playing. If you hear something, then it's probably a foul ball.
Shepard able to just get enough of that baseball to foul it away. It went through the legs of Payson.
Grant Shepard doing a nice job as a leadoff hitter. This will be the 6th pitch of the at-bat. So far, all strikes, but at least he's making him work.
And that one, did it hit him? Umpire says, yes, it did. So Shepard takes a walk to first base after getting hit on the foot.
And you're going to see the replay here. Just comes in, and really what the umpire, he heard it hit him. Probably didn't see him hit it or hit him. It was one of those double taps where tap, tap. It hits the ground, it hits his foot. That's an easy one. Brooks comes up batting .340.
And Sullivan hasn't done that very often. That's just the 3rd time this season that he has hit an opposing batter. He has pitched a lot. As you could probably tell from the numbers we showed you, opponents against Sullivan are only hitting 143 against him, as Landon Brooks falls behind 0-1.
You know, John, when I played, which is admittedly a long, long time ago, I got hit quite frequently. I thought it was because I was such a dangerous hitter. Turns out nobody liked me. I know.
Or you just were obsessed with getting on base.
No. I talked to a guy that I played against, a kid named Jeff Kelly at Mount Vernon. He said, I hated you, and I threw the ball. I hit you every game. And I said, you did.
He must have really hated you if he wanted to give up first base that badly.
Well, he also knew I was particularly slow. So.
And strike 3 looking on Landon Brooks. He did not agree with the call.
Yeah, pitch again, clearly, you know, if it hit anything, it got just the corner here. And again, you know, when the catcher moves his glove that much, normally you don't get that call. You know, umpires, they understand framing and they get all that, but normally when there's that much movement on the leather, you're not going to get the call.
Brings up Andrew Zellers, senior first baseman tonight, .457 batting average. That is best on the team. 21 hits. That leads the team. 12 runs batted in. 6 doubles. He does have a home run. Greenfield Central as a team has actually homered nearly as much as Mount Vernon. 10 of them and 12 home runs for the Marauders. And the count is 1-1 to Zellers.
Sullivan showing that he too can mix it up a little bit. That first pitch was a fastball up and in, and he really ran it up there. We don't have a gun up here to tell you exactly how fast, but believe me, it was moving. And then comes a little slider there.
Got him to swing and miss, 1-2.
Looked like a little cutter. Again, just had a little bit of movement late. Fastball that's moving late.
Payson takes that pitch high and away and then immediately checks Shepard at first.
Coach Vail going through a series of signs here. This could be a count where maybe you'd put somebody in motion.
Shepard, in case you're wondering, has stolen 2 bases this year, trying to go for 3, and it won't matter because it hits Zellers. So coming into this game, Sullivan had only hit 2 batters all season long. Now he's hit 2 batters in this inning alone. And that puts runners on first and second with 1 out.
Yeah, again, and you know, if we let the replay run through here, you notice how the batter Zellers does his Pete Rose impression and literally sprints to first base. There he goes. He's not gonna, you're not gonna hit me. By golly, I'm okay. I love it.
Connor Sims, the pitcher, comes up to help out his own cause, or tries to. He has 23 runs batted in this season. That is best on the team. And Sullivan misses outside 1-0.
So obviously a reasonable person could deduce that maybe Sullivan is a little bit wild. He's obviously hit 2 hitters. And, the fastballs that he's really just uncorking are not anywhere close to the plate. He needs to just kind of stay within himself a little bit, quit trying to do too much.
Chopped over to second. Ford has trouble. Steps on the bag but didn't have the ball. So now the bases are loaded. So 2 hit by pitches and an E4. An error on Hayden Ford because that was an out that he just couldn't quite secure. Shepard goes to third, Zellers to second, and Sims to first with 1 down in the bottom of the first, and A.J. Oden coming to bat.
Yeah, imagine he just took his eye off of it. Again, that was clearly going to be 1 out, maybe 2, and he just kind of takes his eye off it for just a second. Goes under his glove.
Sullivan misses high, ball 1. Oden's batting .340 on the season. He also has 16 runs scored, 16 hits, and 18 driven in. He's homered twice, and he chops that one foul.
And I want to make a quick correction. I was looking at the wrong defensive chart when I said that Parker Rhodes, the sophomore second baseman, will not bat. He actually will bat for Greenfield Central. It is Hayden Ford, the second baseman for Mount Vernon, that is being DH'd for.
We are 2 batters away from seeing Rhodes. We'll see if we see him in this inning. Down and away on that one, 2-1.
A big opportunity here for Greenfield Central. You got runners in scoring position. You're obviously moving on any ground ball, or freezing on the line drive, tagging on flies.
Missing away, 3-1. Or no, they call that a strike. Okay, they called that a strike.
I will tell you that at the high school level, sometimes the umpires are going to give you a little bit more than just the black of the plate. Mm-hmm. You always hear about pitching to the black, the outline.
Protecting the plate that time was Oden with 2 strikes.
Nice job. Now, if I'm Coach Vail, I want to see him choke up just a little bit and just control the bat and shorten it and try to put some contact. Kids today don't like to choke up. But, I always told kids, listen, for the first 2 strikes, you can bat however you want. You can put the bat in your mouth if you want to. But when you get 2 strikes, you're going to hit it my way. And if you don't like it, don't get 2 strikes.
And honestly, I think that's probably maybe the 10th time we have seen somebody hit the ball foul down the first base side. We're not even through the first inning.
Yeah, and, a lot of it's velocity. I mean, again, he is running it up there pretty quick, so you're behind it. All the more reason to choke up just an inch. I'm not asking you to cut the bat in half.
And he pokes that one foul. Very close to being fair. But that one lands foul. So here's how we got to this point. Sullivan hit Shepard. Then he struck out Brooks looking, and then he hit Zellers. Then Connor Sims got on by way of an error from Hayden Ford. And that's how we have the bases loaded here in the bottom of the first. Oden, up the middle he goes. Ford this time fields it, flips to second. There's one, on to first. Safe. Close play, but they say he's safe, and that scores Shepard from first. So that is an RBI for A.J. Oden.
Batting next, the catcher, number 11, Brody Mayberry.
So 4-6 on the fielder's choice. Oden gets the RBI. Zellers goes to third, so you've got runners on the corners now with 2 outs.
Good replay there. Shows that he was, in fact, safe. He was through the bag before the ball gets to the back of the leather. So I want to say a pretty easy call because it's easy for me, but honestly, that's bang, bang. But I think the right call was made. Ball gets away from the catcher there, pacing, and he does a nice job of getting to it quickly.
This is Brodie Mayberry, batting .278, 9 runs batted in. He has 4 doubles, 10 hits.
Great camera work again.
Behind on that fastball, 1-1. Mount Vernon has batters 6, 7, and 8 coming up in the second inning. Joseph Wilson, Nathan Criss, and Cam Sullivan. Whenever we get there, and it's 2-1 now.
You know, John, we always have fantastic camera work by our youngsters. A lot of them are in high school, and if they could ever get a color commentator, this would be a broadcast.
No, they need a decent play-by-play guy for once. 2-1. Count evens up on him, 2-2.
Gotta love it, man. County rivalries, you know, conference rivalries. Already seen a lot of baseball action here just in an inning and 2/3.
Did he go around? Yes, the umpire says he does. 2 strikeouts for Sullivan in the inning, but a run, no hits, 1 error, 2 men left aboard. We're tied at 1 as we head to inning number 2 on 9-Star TV.
We are really heavily involved in the community, so there are multiple different volunteer opportunities that we can go and do.
Volunteer time to share their time and talents with organizations that need not only monetary assistance, but just people's time to help those organizations grow and thrive.
9-Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Tie game at 1 as we head to the second inning along with Jim Leisure. I'm John Herrick. Thanks for being with us from Greenfield Central, Molander Field. We are tied at 1 apiece. A bit of an interesting first inning there, Jim. Both pitchers get 2 strikeouts. There's Brad King, the head coach of Mount Vernon. Got to really love the way his team has improved this year, going from 12-15 a year ago to now what is a 15-2 record and still unbeaten in conference play.
Yeah, he's done a nice job there. I think he's in his 3rd or 4th year. I remember Ryan Carr, Ryan Carr was there before him. And I thought Coach Carr laid a decent foundation. I mean, when Coach King took over, it wasn't like he had to rebuild it from the ground up. Sometimes when you get a job, it's because, honestly, the program is in disarray, and you got to go in there and just turn things totally around. Coach King, I think, had a nice run at Newcastle as well. So pretty good baseball coach down there. And, that community out there in northwest Hancock County continues to grow. Continues to get more students, more athletes, and again, when you got horses, you gotta ride them, and Coach King's doing a good job of that.
6, 7, and 8 batters for Mount Vernon coming up here in the second. When we get to Greenfield Central in the bottom of the second, they'll be having batters 7, 8, and 9 due up. So both teams in the bottom part of their order. Both teams got a run, did it very differently, in different ways there in the first inning. This is Joseph Wilson, who is hitting an impressive .500 on the year, 13 hits, 8 driven in. Has played in all 17 games.
Yeah, a lot of times when you see a kid batting .500, you figure, well, he probably doesn't have a lot of plate appearances, but he's certainly got his share.
That one breaks in for Sims for a strike, and again, I mentioned different ways. There were 2 hits in the inning from Mount Vernon in the top of 1, and then 2 batters got hit by pitches for Greenfield Central, and then there was an error, and then a score on a fielder's choice.
That last pitch there, John, that's basically a location strike. We talked about it earlier. Catcher sets up, but he puts the glove right on the corner, and then the umpire says if that glove don't move, that pitch is a strike.
And that one breaks in. Strike 3 called unless he can beat that throw out. He does not. So Sims with his 3rd strikeout of the evening, and Nathan Criss, the junior center fielder, comes up, who's batting just shy of .300. Good job by Brodie Mayberry to be on top of it.
Yeah, Brodie picks it up, and he's already, if you're a young catcher out there on those drop thirds, you want to improve your angle. Either get into the infield a couple steps or get in foul territory a couple steps so that you can throw the ball at a 45-degree angle, not try to throw it over the runner's head.
14 runs batted in for Criss on the season, 13 hits, and he falls behind here 0-1.
Greenfield, I've noticed, actually did not draw the runner's lane I mean, that's, the umpires use that. If the catcher does throw the ball and hit the runner in the back, if he's in the field of play, then he's out. Okay, and if you hit him while he's in the runner's lane, normally it's 45 feet. It's halfway up the line. You'll see maybe a 2 or 3 feet runner's lane not painted on there today for some reason.
Bouncer to second base. Parker Rhodes gets it. Not an easy play. Stay safe. Yeah, Rhodes had to go all the way back over, and
yeah, difficult play. I mean, he does a nice job of getting to the baseball. Again, the grass looks just a little bit tall here, so it's going to slow it down a little bit. Here's your replay here. That ball is spinning away from him. Sets his feet, tries to get rid of it quickly, and the umpire takes a good long look at it and decides that he, in fact, beat the throw, and I would agree.
Third hit of the game for Mount Vernon. Cam Sullivan now up.
Well, judging from that replay, maybe not.
Oh, yeah, he might have been out by about a half step.
Yeah.
Wow. You can tell the umpire had to think about it.
Well, and that's a good umpire normally will go ahead and take a long look at it. They tell umpires from the very beginning, don't anticipate. Don't think what you think you're seeing. Make sure it's there. They talk about it all the time. MIBT, make it be there. And he took a long look at it and said safe, but I think the replay kind of showed otherwise.
And a try at first base. Chris is back safely.
Yeah, and obviously not a premium move there. That was just a, excuse me move where you step off. I mean, eventually I'm sure his pickoff move is about 30 times faster than that.
And Chris can steal if he wants to. He's been pretty good at that. 5 stolen bases this year. Does not have a big lead at first. And there is a strike against Sullivan, evening the count up at 1-1.
Again, coming with the curveball. We talked about when he needs a strike or if he needs an out pitch, it's almost always the breaking pitch. Man, way out in front. That's the second Mount Vernon hitter that I've seen that has picked his back foot up out of the ground, which is obviously not a very effective way to hit. Again, another little excuse me move. That one was a little quicker than the last one. Okay, so maybe the third one will be full speed. But just keeping them close, keeping them honest. Then again, maybe not. That one's about the same. I'd say that was a little more than half speed. Eventually, he's going to come with a real move here.
And the 1-1. There's that. Man, that breaking ball from Sims is moving well tonight.
Yeah, it is. And again, I used to coach with a guy years ago who used to say our philosophy on hitting curveballs is to not swing at them. His theory was, hey, if with 2 strikes, you got to, obviously. Most high school kids can't locate it like he's locating it. Sims is doing a nice job. This is where, obviously, you'd want to get your kids together and go, okay, boys, this kid can throw the curveball and he can locate it, so we're going to have to put some of these in play. Got to stay back. Again, and notice the weight shift, the really big weight shift there by Sullivan on the last breaking ball. When you're out in front,
battles that one off and fouls it away.
Yeah, when you're out in front like that, even if you do make contact and you got all your weight on the front foot, you're not going to hit it very hard. I mean, it's just going to be either a pop-up, a lazy pop-up, or a lazy ground ball. You got to keep your weight balanced, and if anything, keep it back a little bit and push off that back foot.
Sims, again, just keeps checking on Chris.
And, of course, obviously this is not Major League Baseball or even professional baseball, because in the minors it's the same way. Because on the third attempt without an out, it's an automatic balk.
And Chris is going. Throw to second. That was ball 2. He's safe. Stolen base number 6 on the year for Nathan Criss, and the 56th stolen base of the season for Mount Vernon.
Wow.
So,
very, very close. Again, unfortunately, the field umpire has been put in a somewhat difficult position. Close calls all the way around, but that one was correct. He was under the tag.
and the count is now 2-2 to Sullivan.
These guys do not get paid enough. They don't get the replay like we do.
And that one is in play in the infield. Odin to first, able to get him, but that moves the runner over.
Batting next, the catcher, number 7.
And Grant Payson, who is the 9th man in the order, tries to keep the inning alive for the Marauders. Boy, that was a high chopper.
Yeah, really nice job again with the backhand and just kind of the running throw, just flipped it over there. A little bit of a tall infield here. Again, that ball really slowed down on A.J. Oden, but he was able to snag it backhand and get the ball across the diamond.
Wind blowing in slightly from left center. Payson's batting .276 on the season. 7 runs scored, 8 hits, 6 RBI, 3 doubles. He does have 1 home run. Moves ahead in the count here, 1-0.
Yeah, curveball just down, just out of the zone, just a little bit low. Probably had the corner, but it was just below the knee. I see the catcher's right on the outside of the plate. He's over the plate. But the ball was up, you know. But had he delivered that pitch where the catcher did not move at all, that's an easy call, strike.
For most pitchers, Jim, a 2-0 count's a fastball count. For Sims, it might be a curveball count.
It may very well could be, and you know, he does seem to have really good command. We'll see what he does. Now, this is the 9-hole. Came in the breaking pitch. So, you know, I used to tell pitchers all the time, Babe Ruth never batted 9th, so why don't you just throw fastballs and let's get out of here.
Chris leading away at third. Got enough of the corner for that to even it up, 2-2.
Came with the old number 1 there, the fastball, and again located it well.
If Payson can stay alive, we go back to the top of the order with Gavin Johnston. If not, then we go to the bottom of the second. Two. Got a piece of it, fouled it back to the wall.
Nice job of staying alive there by Payson. Again, if you're Sims, you really, really, really want to get this guy. You certainly don't want to face a dangerous hitter in Johnson with a runner in scoring position. You know, you want to face Johnson with nobody on base if you can.
Umpire resets it for the infield. The count that is. And Sims fires. And got him swinging. Connor Sims in a groove right now. 4 strikeouts for the Greenfield Central pitcher, putting him at 45 strikeouts on the season. And we stay tied at 1 going into the bottom of the second. Today's game brought to you in part by NSR. You've only got one chance at the recruiting process, so don't waste it. National Scouting Report and Mark Gallion dedicated themselves to finding you scholarship money, and Mark specifically specializes in baseball. Have an advocate in your corner and call Mark today at 317-339-6721 or email mgallion@nsrinc.com.
And, you know, John, I say it every game when we run that read there, that spot. You know, can a parent reach out to colleges and coaches on their own? Yeah, it can be done, but, man, it is a tremendous amount of work. A guy like Mark Gallion knows how to do it. He already knows the process. He knows these guys, these scouts. Give Mark a call and see if he can't make your job a little bit easier if you want to see your son play at the next level.
All right, and there's a look at the Hoosier Heritage Conference standings. Mount Vernon, like I mentioned earlier, perfect 10-0 record, but good season so far in the conference for Greenfield Central at 7-3. And yes, you don't normally see ties for a team, but Greenfield Central does have a tie this season. That was the very first game of their season, as a matter of fact. It was against Wapahani when they finished tied in 9 innings against them at 1-1. And also, they had a great battle against Yorktown, did Greenfield. Beat them 8-7, lost to them rather, 8-7, then came back and beat them 6-5. So very easily could have more than 7 wins in the conference. There's Coach Mark VAIL in his 10th season as the Greenfield Central head coach. Been around Hancock County a while. And Parker Rhodes is up first in this bottom of the second inning for Greenfield, and he is behind 0-1, make it 0-2.
You know, John, you talk about ties, and again, I coached, you know, for a handful of years, and every now and then, again, early in the year especially, it gets dark early, okay, and you know, if you're playing on a field that doesn't have lights and non-conference game and the whole 9 yards, I mean, so, hey, we played 9 innings of baseball. We got a lot out of it. Hopefully y'all got a lot out of it, but we're not coming back. We're going to go home, and good luck to you, Coach, and we'll see you next year.
High and in, ball 2. Now Cam Sullivan tries to settle down. He was really kind of off in the first inning, hit 2 batters.
Yeah, I would argue again just because the fastball is missing there.
Fastball on the money that time, and Rhodes couldn't catch up to it. That is the 3rd strikeout for Sullivan, and Kurt Connect is next, batting 8th in the order. Junior center fielder hitting .439. One more look at the strikeout from Rhodes, and for Connect, 18 hits this season, 14 driven in. He has 5 doubles, and he has homered once.
Got that Hunter orange bat, man, hard to miss. This is another rule, obviously, again, not at the high school level that would come into play at the major league level was that, anybody, whether the catcher's ability to call time or the hitter's ability to call time, you're limited, but not at this level.
And after Sullivan and Payson have a conference, Sullivan misses high, 1-0.
Again, so a lot of where Sullivan's missing is up. So he needs to adjust something. He needs to adjust his stride. Stride out a little bit more, which will bring the arm angle down a little bit more. The release point, change something.
He does bring it down, and this time hits the strike zone, 2-1.
You would think a young man like him, I know he is just a junior, but at some point he can coach himself.
Erratic on that pitch, and Connect had to duck to get out of the way of it, 3-1.
Yeah, and you could tell by the finish, too, that, he's not finishing toward the plate. He's finishing toward the first base side.
That time he did finish toward the plate.
He did, and that's the difference. Okay, so when he's on line and when you're coaching pitching, one of the things you do is you paint lines so that they can stay on line with their shoulders, their hips, and their arm.
How about that? Falling behind 3-1 after that pitch, high and away, and then he comes back and has a strikeout, runs the count full, and gets Connect to go down swinging.
And again, when you see the finish there of him on the mound, he finished in a fielding position, balanced. He wasn't flailing and falling off to the side.
And for Connect, that is his 11th strikeout on the year. Jaden Marcus is up, tries to keep the inning alive for the Cougars. And he's quickly behind 0-2 as he foul tips that ball into the glove of Payson.
Well, I tell you, Sullivan really working fast now, so he seems to have found it. I early in the inning, honestly, even in this inning, he still was leaving a lot of pitches up. Now he can't wait to throw.
That one was up in the zone, but Marcus just felt like got to protect the plate here.
Yeah, without question, that was the try to stay alive and hope for a mistake swing.
And the 0-2 from Cam. Some of the Mount Vernon fans hoping that would be a strike, didn't get their wish. Not only does this Greenfield Central team have 11 seniors, they also have 5 juniors. Also 1 freshman on the varsity roster. The 1-2 from Sullivan. Too low for the umpire's liking, so now you got deuces wild everywhere. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. In the bottom of 2, we're tied at 1. That one poked into right, but in foul territory. If it was fair, it would have been trouble, but not to be.
Another thing that I say in just about every baseball and or softball broadcast is if you can get some production out of 7, 8, and 9 in your lineup, you're probably going to win. Now, this at bat here, this is going to be the 7th pitch of the at bat. If Marcus is able to get on, that'll put a runner on at least, and around the order we go.
And that one is into right this time. Right by Connor Scheidt.
Really, really good at bat for the young man there again. Battling back and just staying alive, fouling pitches off. And does a nice job. Again, pitch on the outer half. So great job inside out, hands inside the baseball, and just slap it out into right field. Don't try to pull it.
Second time through the order now for Greenfield Central. Grant Shepard comes up, and so far he is the man who has scored the lone run of the game. Got hit by a pitch in the first and came around to score on what was that fielder's choice.
Well, I'm sure Shepard wants to hit this time. He has choked up just a shade.
And now does that throw off possibly the rhythm that Sullivan was in? See if it does. And Jaden Marcus, not much of a threat to steal. He's only stolen one base this season. Again, that's one thing coming in that you noticed on the stat sheet. Not that stats mean everything, but one thing that was very different about both these teams is that Mount Vernon steals almost twice as many bases as Greenfield Central does.
Yeah, very active for a high school team. I would think Greenfield Central is probably average in terms of the amount of stolen bases that they've attempted and successfully completed this season. Mount Vernon a little bit higher than that. So I don't know if that one of those baseballs may have had a tear in the leather as Sullivan threw it out to the coach. Coach King's got it in his hand over there. So one of them took a hard shot off the bricks here, the press box.
And runner goes, powered into right. Going back near the warning track, catch made by Nathan CRISS on the run, and that takes care